Balance the World with Dave Dettman, helping humans establish a balance with our planet. Welcome, everyone. Today's video is hate versus teamwork, which is mainly about politics here in America, but it also relates to the entire human race around the world because we do have a planet to take care of, not just a country. And this is a long video, so I'm going to chop it up into segments. And first, I'm going to review why we hate each other so much and why it is so important that we work together. And next, I'll talk about the difference between racism and prejudice, which I believe to be extremely important. Then I'll introduce my teamwork star graph that is a simple visual aid for explaining diversity and how we are all different. Then I'm going to talk about my perfect citizen concept, which describes the importance of everyone doing their part to get along. And finally, I'm going to use the LGBTQ community as a good and important example for how to see an issue from both points of view. So, with that, let's go ahead and get started with our first segment. Why care if we hate each other or work together? Well, the first thing we need to do is to define and discuss the concept of hate because it is such a horrible and controversial topic. But that also means that it needs to be understood better. So, to start, the definition of hate is one, intense hostility and aversion, usually deriving from fear, anger, or sense of injury. Two, extreme dislike or disgust. Now, my definition is one, a strong dislike for other people caused by selfishness and or stupidity. And two, it's just a better, quicker, more accurate word or phrase than strongly dislike. Now, I start with this because I want to apologize for my use of the word. I will try not to use it too much because it is a cringy word that really bothers people. But it is a simpler and quicker word to say and use. Besides, you can't just tell people don't hate because there are many legit reasons for hate in the world. So let's stop scolding people for using the word and focus more on the things causing the hate and get to the root of the problem of hate, which is mainly what this video is all about. So, again, why care if we hate each other or work together? The number one reason is to fix the roots of our problems. If we are ever going to fix hate or any of our other problems in the world, we must first understand what is causing them in the first place. And so, the first root problem is destroying our planet, or at least taking it for granted, because our planet is a miracle of the universe, and everyone needs to understand this and help work towards protecting it now and for future generations. Number two, population growth and bad parenting. Now, the actual number of people this planet can support is debatable 8 billion, 10 billion, 20 billion, even, which I will leave that number up to the experts. But I'm also talking about bad people breeding like rabbits, making more and more bad people. So, parenting education, sex education, and birth control are extremely important in the category too. Number three, broken and or corrupt government because we can't fix our problems on a global scale without doing it through government. It is the only thing big enough and strong enough. And number four, abuse of religion because we can't establish a balance with our world if everyone is fighting over whose religion is the right one or if everyone is waiting for an imaginary guy in the sky to fix our problems for us. Now, I'd like to point out about number three and number four and how people say, don't talk about politics and religion. Yeah, right. They are the two most important topics in the world that need to be talked about. Just try to be nice when debating them. And that includes myself. I need to be nicer too. And speaking of being nice to each other, there is one thing even worse than abuse of religion and government. And that is the true roots of almost all of our problems in the world, which is number five, the combination of human selfishness and stupidity, which I will talk about extensively with just about every topic I ever discuss. For now, just understand and focus on the solutions to selfishness and stupidity, which are teamwork and education. So, again, why care if we hate each other or work together? To fix selfishness and stupidity. Because when it comes to fixing the problems in the world, people are either too stupid to understand them or too selfish to care. Also, my old subtitle is The Roots of Our Problems: How Selfishness and Stupidity Are Destroying the World, and How Teamwork and Education Are the Answers. Now, for 20 years, I've been apologizing for how blunt and even rude these statements are. But I'm sorry. If you really put some thought into it, you'll realize I'm right. Teamwork is the answer to selfishness, and education is the answer to stupidity. Now, the stupidity part I will mainly leave to the experts in the world. There are thousands and thousands of people in the world smarter than me. So, even though I will have many opinions on education, what I really want to focus on is getting people to care and spend most of my time trying to fix the selfishness in the world. Now, speaking of selfishness and stupidity, I'd like to take a minute to apologize for and explain why I use the word so much. Mainly because they're easy to understand and because they are like an umbrella and how they encompass all the other terms. For example, most people think greed is the root of our problems, but selfishness causes greed, just like it causes all the other terms on this list: corruption, lack of teamwork, lack of compromise, lack of fairness, closed mindedness, self centered, self indulgent. And I believe it to be the root of all evil: jealousy, apathy, laziness, arrogant, egotistic, stubbornness, and inconsiderate. The same thing goes for stupidity. Think of it like an umbrella and how it encompasses all the other terms. For example, most people think ignorance is the biggest problem, but stupidity encompasses so much more than ignorance or a lack of knowledge, just like all the other terms on this list. Lack of information, lack of education, no mental toughness, no control over your emotions, weak minded, bad decision making, bad memory, idiotic, illiterate, inexperienced, naive, brainless, forgetful, senile, and just plain dumb. So again, sorry for using these blunt and rude terms, but if we are ever going to fix our problems, we have to face them and call them what they are. And please always remember, I want to fix our problems, not just ignore them or sugarcoat them because they hurt people's feelings when you discuss and debate them. Now, since I've been talking about stupidity and education, and that thousands of people are smarter than me, I'd like to introduce 15 of my favorite leaders that I respect and have been inspired and influenced by, and that I think can help with the education in the world. And I'd like to use one of them as a very important example about selfishness. But first, I'd like to quickly go through these 15 leaders, starting with my favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt. George Carlin, my favorite comedian. Jon Stewart, who is a close second to Carlin and is about the most important voice in America right now. Bernie Sanders, about the only politician I even like anymore. Crystal Ball from Breaking Points, who I think is the best journalist or newscaster in the country. And if you want a female president someday, she should be at the top of your list. Carl Sagan, who got me interested in the universe and free thinking. David Attenborough for his dedication to the planet and animals. Kevin Costner, my favorite actor, tied with Harrison Ford, I guess. I put them in there because of how much I love movies and how they make great examples for real life debates, which I will use often. Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs for his advocating for the American worker. Neil deGrasse Tyson for his wisdom and love for our planet and the universe. I could listen to him talk all day long. Dr. Drew Pinsky, Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, Simon Sinek, and the new guy, Scott Galloway, are all good guys I like to listen to. Now, I show you these to give you a brief idea of how I think and the types of people I like, but also because we need more good, smart leaders like these ones. Now, if there is one person who has influenced me and shaped the way I think the most, it is definitely George Carlin. He is a great example of how comedy is not just jokes, but opinions on real life, too. I've learned from this guy most of my life, and I agree with him 90% of the time, especially when it comes to religion and human stupidity. And one of my favorite quotes of his is never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups, because this sure goes for our political parties and government these days, that's for sure. Now, with this quote, he's right. But an even better way to view and judge the human race is to dislike bad people, people who are bad citizens, who don't follow society's laws and rules, and who make no attempt to be likable and get along with everyone else. Those are the people we should hate. But try to help them and change them into being good people. Now, there is one major issue that I disagree with him on, and that is when he doesn't seem to care about the future of humanity. And because of that, I'd like to play this quick video to show you what I'm talking about.
And I found a very liberating position for myself as an artist. And that was, I sort of gave up on the human race and gave up on the American dream and culture and nation and decided that I didn't care about the outcome. And that gave me a lot of freedom from a kind of distant platform to be sort of amused, a kind of to watch the whole thing with a combination of wonder and pity and try to put that into words.
Not caring about the outcome. What do you mean by that?
Not having an emotional stake in whether this experiment with human beings works. I really don't care.
Okay, after watching this video, I do think I understand his point in what he's trying to say, in that it's easier to be happy and not worry about problems and enjoy life. Or, in his case, just enjoy comedy and making jokes. But as much as I respected George Carlin, I still feel this attitude is a horrible attitude and exactly the opposite of what the world needs. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little selfishness and trying to enjoy life. It's not selfish to want to survive and have a good life. And I don't expect everyone to care as much as I do or give up a normal life and not have kids and try to save the world like I'm trying to do. But everyone can still care about the world and what happens to the world in the future after they die, and do their small part to help balance the world for future generations. So, the attitude of who cares about the future, I'll be dead and gone before all that bad stuff happens, is exactly what the world does not need. The world needs teamwork and education and hope for a good future. I know I still have hope for the future because I still believe that we can balance the world and humans can establish a balance with our planet. We just have to learn to work together. There is no reason other than human selfishness and stupidity that every human being on this planet, up to 10 or 15 billion people, should have a good life, now and for thousands, if not millions of years to come. This planet has plenty of resources for everyone, as long as we control our population and work together. But in order to work together, we have to like each other and have to want to help each other. Because right now, we don't. And throughout history, we haven't. And that is what this video is all about, getting people to stop hating each other and stop fighting each other, which is equivalent to what most people mean by world peace. World peace has been the goal for a long time now, but I just still prefer balance the world, which is basically the same thing, but with a more specific goal and more specific plans on how to make it actually work. And of course, it's not going to happen overnight, but it is a goal worth fighting for and working towards. Thank you.